Hello, dear students. I'm Miss Peggy Lam, one of your IH teachers this year. In Form 2, the learning theme for the whole year is Understanding the Modern World and Global Citizenship. And you can see that I have just written down our learning theme at the bottom. And the first topic that we are going to focus on is from the Middle Ages, 中世紀, to the Renaissance 文藝復興. So in your upcoming IH lessons, we are going to discover the ideological impacts brought to the modern world. So how about in this video, what you are going to learn? In this video lesson, we have two major learning objectives, and listen carefully. One, to establish connection between Form 1 and Form 2 curriculum. And second, to trace the developments of major historical events in the modern world. Now, students, do you still remember what did you learn at the beginning of your Form 1 IH lessons? I give you guys 5 seconds to think about this question. Beep, 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 beep. Time is up. Have you got any answers? Now, if not, let's have a quick recall together. In Form 1, we learn about civilizations. So the learning theme is from the start of civilization to a modernized city, Hong Kong. We talk about the makeup of a modern world by learning the ancient civilizations here. So what actually did you learn in Form 1? Do you still remember? For example, we learned about the Nile Valley civilizations, right? And we also learned about the Greco-Roman civilizations in your IH lessons. And you have done some presentations, right? Do you still remember? So from the top line here, you can see that the early civilizations brought about tremendous legacies by which affecting all human beings in the modern world. Therefore, if you still remember, with more well-organized systems and the new modes of living and larger settlements, etc., civilizations was a period with higher level of development. So that's why people enjoyed prosperity and society experienced significant changes. And there was a rather stabilized development at that period of time. Okay. However, there is always a cycle for history to experience ups and downs. So after long years of stabilities and cities were more development, wars became frequent as well. So in Form 2 curriculum, our focus shifted from civilizations to the Middle Ages here. Middle Ages are also called the medieval times. And the beginning of Middle Ages is often called the Dark Ages because the Greek civilizations of Greek and Rome have fallen. It drops. Okay, so you can see that during that period of time, the development of the Middle Ages was quite backward and stagnant, reaching a relatively low standard of development. And actually, the Middle Ages began in 476 AD, the 5th century, and that was the year marked the fall of the Roman Empire. So the Middle Ages began from the 5th century, lasted until around the 15th century. And at that time, feudalism, 封建制度, was a very important political and social system too. You can see that people were divided into different classes. And in the feudal system, king, was the most powerful one. But at the same time, church was equally powerful or more even powerful than the king. And science was not developed during the Middle Ages. So this is the reason why at that period of time there was no development in science and wars were very frequent. The church was really powerful and even controlled people's life. So that's why you can see that the development was backward and stagnant, a low standard of development. However, things gradually changed. During the late Middle Ages, at around 14th century, both the power of feudalism and the church declined, giving birth to the rise of scientific thinking. People started to think independently, and they would question the belief of the church, and it led to the rise of science. And we call this period, as I mentioned earlier, this was the period of what we call Renaissance. 文藝復興 Renaissance, Renaissance. So during the Renaissance period, it led to the growth of arts, culture, literature, architecture, science and trade, and so on. And the other major impact was Reformation, 宗教改革. Here, 宗教改革, Reformation. It was a religious movement, and people at that time challenged the traditional belief of the church, and they questioned why the church was so powerful. And they used science to reason, to believe in reasons. So that's why it was another profound impact brought by the Renaissance. So that's why during the Renaissance, it was a period marked with significant changes, and Renaissance was a transitional period from the Middle Ages to the modern times. So that's why the development here goes up again. It also contributed to the birth of what we call the Age of Reasons or Enlightenment, 啟蒙運動, during the 17th to 18th century. The Enlightenment took place during the 17th to 18th century. So the Enlightenment was actually an intellectual movement. Because of the impact brought about by Renaissance and Reformation, people believed that they were born free and equal. Church couldn't control their belief. And also, because of the decline of the church power, people suggested that the power of the government comes from people but not from God. God can't control everything. So all these ideas brought about revolution, 革命. And it also led to what we call the Age of Revolutions in history. So after learning the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and Enlightenment, we will learn about the political impacts brought about by two major revolutions in history. First is the American Revolution. Here, the American Revolution, which took place during 1775 to 1783. It was a very important revolution in history because the success of this revolution led to the birth of another revolution, the French Revolution. But based on the American Revolution, it brought about some major ideas that were still influencing us today, like the ideas of liberty, equality, democracy of human rights. We still believe in these ideas in our modern world, right? So that's why we still have revolutions in our world today. And the American revolutions led to the birth of USA, the establishment of USA, and the adoption of Constitution, 憲法. So all these ideas are very important. So that's why we learn about the spirit, okay, of the American Revolution. We'll focus on their legacy. And as I mentioned, the success of the American Revolution also contributed to the outbreak of the French Revolution, 法國大革命, which took place during 1789 to 1799. Okay, so the French Revolution was another very important revolution in the world. Okay, and we will learn about the legacies of the French Revolution in our curriculum. The French revolutions brought about more revolutions in other parts of Europe and even led to the unification movements of Italy and Germany. So all these revolutions were very important in human history. So that's why in our Form 2 curriculum, we'll learn about the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and moving towards to the Age of Revolutions. Okay, but that's not the end, because you are going to learn more about the world wars in your Form 3 history lesson, like the First World War, the Second World War, and the Cold War. Okay, so to summarize our lesson today, I hope you have a general picture, okay, of the historical developments of some major events in our syllabus. Okay, and remember one thing. Okay, change and continuity is a very major historical concept in our subject. We are not only learning about the developments, the chronological order of the events, we also have to think about the impacts. Okay, we relate history to our modern world. We are trying to learn about the significant changes and also the legacies brought about by all these major events in history. Okay, and so that's it for our video lesson today.